Welcome to Let's Talk Finance. Today's episode is a little different because we're recording here at Luton Town Football Club at their historic Kenilworth Road ground, aka the Kenny. Good morning, I'm Gary Cretton and I'm joined as always by Marcus Maisey, one of my co-directors at KDW. Today we're also delighted to welcome Tom Schofield, Chief Financial Officer at the club, and James Turner, Senior Finance Manager. Between them, Tom and James bring experience from organisations including Transport for London, the FA and Chelsea. We're going to be talking about the financial realities of running a football club and what long-term planning really looks like behind the scenes. It's a Let's Talk Finance special edition from Luton Town Football Club. Marcus, Tom and James, welcome.
Hi.
Hi, hello.
Could be a little bit more excited about this, but anyway. So first things first, let's get a few introductions. So let's start with you, Tom. Tell us a little bit about yourselves, where you've come from, why you're with Luton, and obviously, your long-term plans for yourself as well.
So I'm Tom Schofield. I'm the CFO of the football club, the development company, and the new Power Court Stadium company as well. So obviously building the new stadium in the town centre. I actually grew up in Harpenden, which is just down the road. Yes, I've always had sort of an affiliation with Luton Town Football Club. My dad was a big fan. He didn't quite manage to convert me. But yeah, I've been here. I joined in 17-18, so the club was in League 2 at the time. And prior to that, I was working at Transport for London, so I was working on their property development, property investment sort of portfolio. I'd been there about 15 years. I was kind of thinking about a move and started looking a bit more locally. And, as luck would have it, the club was looking for someone to... And
I'm assuming you was in financial control as well?
Yeah, okay. Well, sort of investment appraisal type stuff. So property development bits and pieces. As I said, as luck would have it, the club was looking for someone to come in and do a bit of work on the new stadium project, which is how I got my foot in the door, so to speak. Since then I've kind of, taken over the finance department. So I set over the football club and the development company, as I said. Obviously a lot more to do with the players and football finance and stuff now, which is, I'll be honest, probably the more interesting side of it.
Exciting times. And James, tell us a little bit about yourself as well.
Yes, I've joined Luton 2 years ago and work for Tom, focused purely on the development side of the company. So working on the new stadium project, from everything from sort of build costs to raising finance, so talking to the banks. I've been in sport for just under 6 years. Sort of first entered sport at the FA, so I did a couple of years there. Initially working on the project to sell Wembley, so sort of entered the world of sport there.
So the Power Court move for you is nothing for you then?
No. Well, that project fell on its sort of didn't take place. So
okay.
Yeah, this one obviously is going to. I then moved, having enjoyed sort of entering into sport, moved to Chelsea, where I worked for 4 years. So from everything from sort of COVID through sanctions, a little bit like Tom, sort of young family working in London was sort of taking its toll a little bit. So I looked for something a little bit closer to home, and this role came up, and it's into sort of be a sort of perfect fit, bit of property, bit of sport. At the time, Luton were in the Premier League, which was really exciting times for the club. So it felt like a good.
And I suppose the main thing for us is to understand how the football club runs, similar to what myself and you do, Marcus, from running a business, which I think would be very different, Marcus, to be fair.
Yeah, you don't get a transfer fee, Gaz.
Yeah, thanks for that. But now with Power Court going ahead, do you find your days are more stressful? You feel like there's more needs upon you both day to day? Tom smiling as I ask that question.
Yes. Obviously, it's
early days.
But it's the sort of key piece of the long-term strategy for the club. Set us up. Obviously, we've been at Kenilworth Road for over 100 years or whatever. This will set us up for the next 100. So it's really important. In terms of growing the club, putting it back where it belongs. In the sort of upper echelons. Hopefully the Premier League again at some point, but certainly the Championship. So yes, it is. There's two things to it really. One, we all want to get promoted, so can't take your eye off that, and that is important. But yes, the other thing is long term. The future for everyone, all the young fans coming here, etc., and building the club up, and that is Power Court.
So, I mean, from our position, which we'll come to a little bit later, obviously we're a kit partner with yourself, which has been great for us coming forward. But I spoke to fans, in recent times, and they really want to hear about what's the plan for Power Court, getting to Power Court, etc. Not put you guys under a bit of pressure, but you're obviously being put in pressure by the board, etc., to deliver, to make sure you deliver within numbers, etc. And obviously, it's good to hear from you guys, and obviously to put this out so fans can actually understand what it actually feels like to run a football club.
But I've got one question. When did the move start? When did you start planning the move? Was it when you were in the when we were in the Premiership?
The move to Power Court.
Yeah, that's been in the
it's been in the offing for quite some time. Yes, I mean there was more than one plot of land. You're going to test me here because it was before my time. But yeah, I mean the club bought a piece of land up by the motorway, Newlands Park. At some point in time, there was an idea to relocate there. The Power Court acquisition's a bit more recent. But yeah, I mean, when I first joined, as I said, that was back in League 2, 17-18. We were looking at doing a development on Newlands Park and using that money to build the stadium at Power Court. So that, it's been a long term. And certainly the 2020 board, that was part of their plan when they took over back in sort of 08, 09 time was to get a new stadium.
Yeah, so I would say, Tom, from what you're seeing and what you're telling us, it's very different from just what we see on the football pitch. We come here, we explore, we enjoy the games, etc. But behind the scenes is massive. And what you get involved with now, when you were talking about you get involved with the players as well now and the transfers, etc. That must be massive as well. And we're in the transfer window now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, thankfully, I don't have too much to do with the transfer window. It's more, the budgets for it, etc., and the squad budget obviously is part of my role. But yeah, the actual negotiations and stuff. That's that's the sort of recruitment team. Gary as CEO, etc. Get more involved in that kind of stuff and signing that off. But yes, I mean, I suppose, I mean, we talked about on the football pitch. That's the nice bit of the job is you can see. You get to turn up on a Saturday and watch how it all plays out. It's not just on a spreadsheet. No. Thankfully.
And I suppose for us, we manage day-to-day people budgeting, finances, don't we, within the investments or their own personal life. And you must have strict rules how you budget then. But does that change season to season, or is it just depending what comes in and goes out?
It definitely changes season to season. Obviously, it's heavily dependent on divisional status. Which is, we've been, as I said in my time, through all the professional leagues. So that's been quite good fun. But yes, the main source of funding is broadcast income, and that it's a couple of million in the lower leagues. It goes up to sort of 10 million in the Championship, and then it's over 100 million in the Premier League. So that obviously greatly influences what you do in terms of transfers and player wages and all that kind of stuff.
But equally, I think just from a sort of financial planning point of view, though, is the fact that you when Luton came down from the Premier League, you actually go, right, we can finance what will be a great venue in the middle of Luton, compared to a lot of clubs who go, we need to buy lots of players and give them lots of money and try and get back up and then fail. There's a lot of Championship and Division 1 clubs that are struggling financially, and I think what Luton's done of securing their future for the next 100 years.
Yeah, exactly. I mean that is the plan, and other clubs tend to do it with owner funding, quite heavy reliance on that, equity and debt from their owners. We have not done that, which doesn't mean to say the owners haven't put money in, because they have significant amounts of it. But yeah, that isn't part of our long-term strategy. We want to be a truly sustainable football club.
Yeah, as a business, I mean, we don't have supporters, as is obviously day to day. So you must have pressures that you feel to make sure the club does what it wants to do. You meet within budget restrictions, etc., and ultimately that you deliver on all sides as well as just on the pitch as well. And one question I want to ask as well is, has the club ever been in a situation where it has actually struggled to pay the bills, etc.?
Yes. Throughout most of my time here, struggle is probably a bit of a strong word, but yes, you know, in terms of planning through the lower leagues, that is challenging. Certainly through COVID, that again was a very, very hard time for the club and how it was going to sort of navigate its way through that. But yeah, I mean, we have been lucky, I suppose, if you want to put it like that. You know, we've managed to find a few little gems. I mean, James Justin was the first one, you know, in my time here. You know, went for a big fee, and that obviously helped us through a few seasons, really, in terms of keeping ourselves going. But yes, you know, I understand what you're saying. You know, I mean, every business has customers, I suppose. Fans aren't dissimilar to that. Maybe a bit more vocal, a bit more active on social media.
Yeah.
But yes, I mean, ultimately, you know, it is a balance. You know, we have got to, we want to get a good squad together, a competitive squad, be, you know, and get promoted. But at the same time, you know, we need to keep in mind that long-term investment is.
But it's making the right financial decisions that actually make it better on the pitch as well, isn't it?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Because the fans will always want players.
Yeah.
Okay, and you've got to then look at that and go, well, actually, we need to be a club in order to have players.
Exactly.
And I think it's that balance, you know, and fans can be very, you know, vocal in well, why don't we buy another striker? Why don't we buy another defender? But actually go, well, that costs money, and so you've got to look at the financial aspect of the club.
100%. Yes. I mean, it's easy to say that sitting on the outside, you know. But yeah, you know, every fan's entitled to their view. And as I said, you know, that's what we're here for. We want to put a good football team out there. We want to put a competitive team out there. We want to get promoted, and we want the fans, you know, behind us.
So for us, obviously, from a finance perspective as a business, we're obviously, you know, we're tested against the profitability, what we obviously would then absorb and what we'd then put out and to do various to grow the business. What governs you? Is it the PFA? Is it certain rules and regulations?
The key regulation, obviously, there's the independent football regulator coming in. So that I don't think it's hard to say yet because it isn't sort of fully sort of formed up. Well, it's formed up, but you know, in terms of the rules and how that will operate, it's still a little bit grey how that will look. So at the moment, it is. I mean, everyone's heard of profitability and sustainability. That's higher up in League One. So in League One, it's a slightly different model. So it's a ratio based on your revenue and your player salary costs, effectively. So that sort of keeps a cap on that. There's discussions at the moment in League One about where that level should be set. I think, you know, principally, I don't want to name any other clubs necessarily, but you know, there's a few with sort of Hollywood connections who were in League One previously who may have spent quite a lot of money to get out of League One, and obviously, you know, the other clubs in there would struggle to compete with that. So there's ongoing discussions around where that, you know, where that actually should sit. But yes, so the idea is to try and create, you know, a bit more of a competitive balance, and because you know, most football fans, I think, like the football pyramid. They like the fact that teams can sort of, you know, move up and down it. It's getting increasingly difficult to do that. You know, the wealth is concentrated at the top, and the only way to compete with that is to bring a whole load of money from the outside and pump it into your football club.
Yeah, so James, we know you're on the development side within the club, you know, so what happens on a day-to-day basis? What does your day-to-day job look like? I know that sounds funny, but, you know, it'd be good to actually understand where you are and where you're going with it all.
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. So I guess, I'm focused sort of purely on the Power Court site. So it's pretty diverse, really. Obviously, I'm in finance, so there is a real focus on the numbers side of the development. But that involves conversations with architects, project managers, structural engineers, groundswork companies. So yeah, really sort of understanding what's going on day to day, how that sort of links back to the finances, the overall project. As everybody knows, it's not just a stadium at Power Court. We're also looking at developing out apartments, hotel, music venue. So constantly in conversations with real estate people, sort of viability of certain residential strategies. So it's really diverse. And then there's also the sort of internal reporting. So of course, a lot of external communication, but we need to keep our stakeholders, Tom and my sort of senior stakeholders, up to date with everything that's going on. So whether that's prepping weekly management meetings, or even we've just on Monday just had a board meeting. So there's a lot of preparation to sort of bring the board on the journey with us. Obviously, we're sort of living it day to day.
I suppose for yourself, though, you've got that date of the 28-29 season. Is that when?
Yep, 28th of April 2028. That's a big date.
So 2 years and counting, near enough.
2 years and counting, yeah. So we've got many people sort of working on programs, very detailed programs of how we get from where we are today through to the first game in August.
So you sound like you're on the front line, really doing it on a day-to-day basis. But how often do you keep the board up to date? How often do you have meetings, etc.?
Yeah, so every fortnight we have a sort of sub-board meeting. So the operations team, which I'm essentially part of, will update the sub-board and also put forward decisions we need quickly. So as you can imagine, it's a sort of fairly fast-paced project. So the board meet formally every quarter. There is a need for decisions between those board meetings. So we bring forward items that we need a decision on, and we therefore get a sort of sub-board approval. We then, once that's in place, submit it up formally to the board for approval, so that all the sort of big decisions, material decisions, things that are going to cost money, they have a say on. So when we come to the sort of next quarterly board meeting, they're aware of what they've signed off.
Yeah. And how do you plan your finances then? How far ahead do you look?
So we're looking 10 years ahead at the moment. Okay. So we have a sort of cash flow forecast, budget, all the way through until the last department is sold, which is currently projected to be around sort of 2035, 2036.
Okay. So just on so I was reading that you had to divert the river. Yep. Is that right? I mean, so there's so much that goes on before you start to get pylons in the ground or whatever you're going to do there. Yeah. And how long did that take? 'Cause, I mean, diverting a river can't be easy, can it?
No. So
I don't know.
We've just started piling, piling for the stadium.
So it's actually started.
Yeah, but the groundswork company have been on site since March 2024. Right. So they've diverted a river around the sort of new stadium. They've probed the whole site, so we know there's no sort of obstructions in the ground. Obviously, it was a power station, so there's a lot of concrete in the ground that we don't want to be there. Yeah. So that's all been removed. There was a substation sitting on under the east stand, where the east stand's going to go. So that was relocated by UKPN. So yeah, it's been probably 2 years of solid preparation, enabling works to get to where we are now.
And it's a fantastic location. I mean, I give blood in Luton and I drive past it and I'm wondering, what's this thing going up? And before I got involved with Luton, I was thinking, what the hell are they developing here? So I mean, the location right in the middle of town, and I think it's going to be like the premier venue in Luton to go to, because when you go out in Luton,
of course it will be.
That's the hope. Yeah.
but it is. It's just it's a fantastic location. It's near the stations, near the amenities. It's going to be stunning.
And is the capacity going? Is it 25 or 26,000?
To 25,000 with room for expansion.
And I'm assuming that's probably already sold out. In reality, that would be sold straight away, I would have thought.
Again, that is the hope.
The plan.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting on budget. I mean, we been doing financial services in this area. You get people building projects and building houses and that sort of thing, and they find it hard enough. In fact, when I had my own extension, my wife found it hard enough to stay on budget. And when you have a big build, and I don't want to know the numbers, but if you look at the big infrastructure projects like HS2 and Wembley, even they go massively over budget. So how do you control that and keep on budget?
Yeah, it's good to hear you're not the only one that's had extension problems and budget problems with the wife. So we have a team of professionals in the background. So that ranges from cost consultants, project managers, obviously architects, structural engineers. So there's a constant flow of information from the sort of the planning stage, the design stage, all the way through the different layers of personnel, all the way through to a cost consultant who then prices up each individual section. So that might be how much of the concrete rake is going to cost, or how much of the seat's going to cost, all the way to what's it going to cost to put the new pitch in, and then that's all sort of stored in one big cost plan.
And is it going to be a 5G pitch, or is it going to be grass?
It's going to be a hybrid solution, yeah.
And do you know anything about how does that work? Because this always confuses me how you have a hybrid pitch. Do you know what it is? I mean, it's grass and a bit of plastic.
I mean, that's a test for two finance professionals.
I don't know. I'm just saying as an individual, I haven't got an answer either.
Something else.
It's grass with plastic stitched into it.
Right. It just makes it harder wearing. I think.
Yeah.
I couldn't describe the exact technology to you.
No.
Honest.
Well, no. I mean, just looking here. We're sitting here overlooking the pitch.
That's a hybrid pitch.
Is it?
Well.
And they're growing the grass and the lights here. So it's
Yeah.
this is the type of thing that you don't see when you come on match day, because the lights have gone and the pitch is all marked up.
So us as KDW, we had shared values. We're a family-run business, been around for 48 years, etc. So for us to link with you guys and being a kit partner was a bit of a no-brainer for us. Also with one of our co-directors, her dad was a lifelong fan, etc. We've got a lot of friends who are lifelong fans. So for you guys, you must have shared values around the community trust that you have in place, etc. And that just fits nicely for us. And I think with us having the opportunity to do this podcast with you guys shows that you kind of have the same values as well. You're not out there as in being the fact that we're trying to be as big as we possibly can, but the values come back to why the club is here and what they're trying to do. They're trying to get to a place as one. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you can even say that about the Power Court project, really. Putting the stadium plus that new development in the town centre is, that's about the town as much as it is about the club and the community and all, bringing, helping to build Luton up generally. But yeah, I mean, certainly in terms of the community trust, I'm not hands-on with it sort of day to day. Obviously, we do look after them from the finance perspective. But yeah, they go out and do a lot of development programs and work in the community, etc. And to be fair, the club's done a fair bit of that, itself. Certainly through the COVID period and stuff like that was very obvious examples of it. But yeah, even now it is the football club is a community asset, is something that we want the residents and fans of Luton to be proud of.
You want to keep it the same when you go into Power Court.
Exactly.
So nothing changes. The stadium changes.
Exactly.
It's a bigger, better for the club, but the values still stay the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So I would say there's probably a key phrase. It's the duty of care that you guys have to the people within the club, i.e. the players, your staff, etc. But also when people decide to change their careers or stop playing football, where they go and where they go from there. But one of the key parts that we find in our job as well is, and it sits as your duty of care to make sure Power Court's delivered right in a financial position, safe and secure, and the financial well-being of the club on a long-term basis. But that's what we do day to day with our clients.
Yeah, just on that, I can add to that is that most people who come to us, they want to know, have they got enough for the future? Have they got financial security? And I go back to my earlier point that, the money that the Luton got from their, the Premier League is going to be ploughed back in, and there's longevity in the club. The Luton is a financially secure club when so many others aren't.
So Luton Town's obviously, very much a family club. I mean, certainly for what you were saying there about Power Court, I mean, that is very obviously, that's investment in the future, in the long term, and setting the club up, as I said earlier, to be here for the next 100 years and long after we're all gone. And I suppose on the side of, staff, players and things like that, the club has a history of employing ex-players from here, even in the academy, players who've leaving the academy and coming back into the coaching staff, around the trust and the academy, etc. So yes, it is. It doesn't just, Luton Town doesn't just sort of talk these values. It does. It really does them. Yeah, it really lives them.
And I think the only reason I mentioned, sorry about the educational part, is because that's everyone as a whole, whether you're a footballer, a sports person, whoever it is, you need to plan and look where you're going to go, because as we know, as a sports person, the career can be cut very, very short.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, it is important to plan for the future, and yeah, that sort of avoiding the sort of short-termism, which on as a football club you see quite often. Let's go out and blow a sizable chunk of money on a striker who could pull his hamstring in the first 2 weeks. Versus looking at a more sustainable, what could we spend this money on more sensibly? Where could we put our money, etc., etc.
It sounds like Luton's just in a great place for the future. It's just a great place for the future. Luton Town has put the financial blocks in for the next 50, 100 years. And Power Court, I guess, will be self-generating. It'll generate its own income, from as a venue.
So yeah, I think finally, to add, the values you guys have as a football club, and the same as us as a business, actually ties us in very, very nicely. You come in here, we're all on first name terms. It's very, very easy to be like that. And I think that the values that we set and what you've just stated in this podcast are key going forward for the club, as you've stated, Marcus.
Yeah, and it's about sustainability and about planning for the future, so that everyone's got enough and that there's a longevity in either your personal finances or club finances.
I think finally it's great to be here. It's great to have done this podcast with Tom and James. Much appreciated for us to sit here and actually spend time in the stadium. We're overlooking the pitch, etc. We've got a great crowd here with us today as well. To understand and see what's actually going on with Power Court, I think will put you guys in great stead going forward as well, for fans to understand and see that. And obviously from our perspective, thanks for allowing us to do this. Much appreciated.
Thanks for having us here today. It's been great to talk to you both.
Lovely. All right. Cheers,
Thank
guys.
you very much, guys.